Welcome to the Flynn Brothers podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Jimmy. Today's big idea: Starbucks is America's third place.
We discuss our love of coffee and do a brief history of the world's largest coffee brand.
Later, we evaluate Starbucks' biggest innovations, from Frappucinos to their rewards program, and consider how they've changed America's relationship with coffee.
Finally, we discuss their cutesy rebrand and wonder about the role of the third place in American culture.
It's all coming up. But first, here's the Solons.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, so before we begin, it's come to my attention that not everybody may know what this third place is that I'm describing.
Yes. I had asked about it before we recorded. Will shows up. We're getting the equipment set up. Our producer, Will Slade, and he didn't know what the hell it was. And I'm guessing a lot of listeners don't know what the hell it was. So what the hell is this third place business? Bronze medal? Help me out here.
It is not the bronze medal. It is a sociological concept referring to, you have home, you have work, and then you have a third place.
Home is your first place. Work is your second place. Again, we're still convoluted here. I need clarity.
Well, there's, it doesn't matter what place those are. Those are two places. Anyway, then there's the third place, which is a bar or a coffee shop or a park or a town plaza, somewhere that you go where you're not at home doing home things and you're not at work doing work things. You are in this third place.
I love how bar was first. Like someone's like, if I ain't at home and I ain't at work, I'm at the bar.
Well, like, for instance, Cheers, the bar
Of
at
course.
Cheers is a classic American
Okay.
third place.
I gotcha.
If you're to sort of
The
wrap
coffee
your head
shop
around
and
it.
Friends,
Yes.
whatever that's called.
There you
I
go.
never really watched Friends. You know what it's called, Will?
Central Perk.
Central Perk. That's it.
Central
Wow,
Perk.
There you go, buddy.
Okay. Now to get into the meat of this episode, and to start things off, I just want to say I love coffee.
You do.
I really love coffee. I know it's a bold statement to say, the number one drug of America, but I really love coffee. You like coffee, I would say.
I would not say like you, I love it, but I do like coffee. I enjoy it. I appreciate fine coffee. I dislike bad coffee, but I'm pretty content with just sort of diner black, heavily roasted coffee. I just like kind of middle of the road, cup of mud, get me going. I only have really one cup in the morning. I'm not someone who needs it all throughout the day. But you are someone, you're very precise, very persnickety about your coffee.
Yes, well, I had to slum it when I lived with you because I didn't feel it made sense for me to make, coffee for you and coffee for me. We just had to have one big pot of coffee, and that was fine. But since after moving out on my own, I'd like to share my perfected method for brewing coffee. This is what I do every morning. Every night, rather, I fall asleep thinking about this cup of coffee and how excited I am to have it in the morning.
Our listeners may themselves need a cup of coffee to stay awake through this, but please,
We'll speed
your,
through.
your coffee routine.
So I have a scale, and that is a must, I think, for anybody who's serious about consistent coffee or baking. I measure out between 15 to 20 grams of coffee, depending on how much I want.
You've lost me already. Measuring, I just fill the grinder and I fresh grind it and eyeball it. Is that good enough? That's not good enough?
That's not going to get you the consistent cup. I hand grind my beans in a specialty grinder. The typical coffee grinder that is sold in stores that goes ring.
That's mine, baby. I love it.
It does not grind coffee in a uniform fashion. And so my specialty grinder does this. I boil the water. I put a paper filter in a ceramic cone. I wet the paper filter to remove its taste from the coffee. I can taste it if I do not wet the filter. I add the grounds, and then I pour 2 to 3 times the weight of the grounds in water to bloom the coffee. After 30 seconds or so, I add up to 14 times more weight in water than coffee. So, for instance, if I have 20 grams of coffee, there's 280 grams of water.
What are all these calculations? We're sending this coffee to the moon? I mean, seriously, what are we doing here?
Makes a perfect cup every time. Our dad also loves coffee. This is where I learned to be a prick about it. You know, famously, our father, he would not let us drink it with cream and sugar. He refused to allow us to water down his perfect made cups of coffee.
I do it black. May I share my routine? Are you done with your
Go
routine?
for it. I said perfect cup every time. That's it.
I make it black. I use Costco brand, Kirkland brand beans. I grind them. I make about a half a big carafe's worth, let's say, I don't know, 25 to 35 ounces. I have my cup hot in the morning. I pour the leftovers into a mason jar that I will then drink cold the next 2 days. I'll make it hot the day after that. And then on the weekend, when I have more time in the morning, I drink hot coffee. But I don't even put ice in it. I just out of the fridge, either out of the mason jar, pour in a cup. I just get that mud down my throat and I get going. You know, hey, it's a reason it's the #1 drug in America. You can take it all sorts of ways, huh?
Oh, that's true. But I don't think Americans in general would have the level of sophistication that even you are describing of fresh grinding your coffee.
Right. I don't think most people do that. I think for a lot of people it's instant or Folgers or any of that crap.
I think certainly in the past, that was far more common. I'd say a lot of people probably do what you do. Less certainly than do the version that I do. But I don't think anybody really would have had this level of sophistication surrounding coffee if it were not for Starbucks. I think today Starbucks is looked at as the standard of coffee. Like if you were to ask Americans, what does coffee taste like? I think they would say the Pike Place blend of coffee. Not like the gold standard, but like standard coffee.
I see. I know it. Yeah. I got what you're saying.
Right down the middle, you know, this is what coffee tastes like. The Pike Place blend, as I would say.
I don't mind Pike Place.
No, I think it's good.
Pike Place, yeah.
I think it's very good. I think it's exactly, you know, what coffee tastes like in the imagination of the American public. And I think it's incredible for its consistency, considering how, you know, many places they're getting the beans from for them to roast it like that perfect every time and the quantities that they do. It's a really a feat of modern engineering and like culinary prowess.
It's like McDonald's fries. You know, those potatoes are coming from everywhere, but they get the salt and sugar and drug blend on it and it tastes the same, you know?
Do you have any memories of Starbucks? Going there as a kid?
Well, it's funny as you're a kid and kind of your quote-unquote coffee orders develop. I remember the first sort of coffee you do as a kid is a hot chocolate, right? That is kind of your first coffee shop order, I think, for a lot of kids is the hot chocolate. Then in the summer months, you get the milkshake, the you know, Frappuccino thing, right? A lot of whipped cream and syrup and stuff, and that's really good. And to be honest, you know, once a year, I like getting a Frappuccino during the dead of summer. It's always very nice. It's a milkshake, though, folks. It's not a coffee drink. It's a milkshake. You're going to Denny's and ordering a milkshake when you get that thing. But yeah, and then from there, I went up to coffee, or probably around high school, I would guess. I started drinking coffee, and yeah, you know, our dad would only let us have it black, and pretty much time I get it out, I get it black. A lot of people buy their coffee every day, and it's like, you know, probably an extra like $50 a week you're spending if you get Starbucks every day.
Oh, that's why millennials will never own a home.
That's right. That's right. And that we're chuggy, and the realtors don't want to sell it to us. But yeah, I always feel odd going out to get coffee because I do like, you know, a couple times a year getting like a chai latte during the winter months, feeling cozy. I like occasionally getting a latte. But most of the time when I go to a coffee shop, I'm just getting a black coffee, like the Pike Place or anything else. And it's just such a waste of money versus making it at home. And it's just not a very special coffee order. So I like hanging out at cafes, but I don't know. In Starbucks, I usually only go if I get like a gift card, though, you know, or something. But those are kind of my earliest memories, just sort of the stepping stones from hot chocolate to Frappuccino to boring old black coffee.
Yeah, I would say, so I did theater in high school, and there was a Starbucks Starbucks fairly nearby to the high school, and theater wouldn't start for about an hour and a half. And sometimes me and the other thespians would go over to Starbucks, and it's really, I think, one of the first places where you can feel like a young adult.
That's true.
Going to Starbucks,
Yeah.
you have your order, you're with your friends, you're sitting, you're hanging out. There's no parents around, there's no teachers around, but it's a Starbucks. Nothing bad's gonna happen at the Starbucks.
It's the bar of high school.
Yes.
It's like hanging out at a bar when you're older. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and you talk with your friends, you're debating theories, you're hanging out there for hours. Oh, geez, I got to get the rehearsal. You got that sort of hustle and bustle, and no power moves stronger than walking onto a school campus, particularly a high school campus, with a mug, like you're with the teachers.
Yeah.
Anyway, Starbucks is really everywhere, but where did it come from? Do you know the origin story of Starbucks?
That's a Seattle company, isn't it?
Yes, let's start with that point, and I'll get more into it with a brief history right after the break. All right, John's brief history of Starbucks. I'd like at the top to give a thanks to historylink.org, which had really documented this well with a grant from the city of Seattle.
Oh,
Kind of
so I was
interesting.
right before the break. I said it started in Seattle.
That's
so
right. It
yeah,
did
yeah.
start in Seattle. It was founded by Jerry Baldwin, Gordon Bowker, and Zev Siegel in Pike's Place in Seattle, early 1970s. These three gentlemen, they were in search of a good cup of coffee, and they couldn't find one. So one day, over a bad cup of coffee, they're like, we should get some good beans. We should import beans. This should be our business. This would be a great business. And so they find Alfred Peet, P-E-E-T, in the Bay Area.
Of Pete's Coffee, I imagine.
That is right. So
Wow.
Alfred Peet is known in the coffee community as, quote, the Dutchman who taught America how to drink coffee.
Boy, that just rolls right off the tongue. Gentlemen, this is Alfred Peet, the Dutchman who taught America how to drink coffee. Every room he enters, he's got to hear that introduction.
So he grew up in a coffee roasting family and then immigrated to the United States, where he really started the specialty coffee movement. Trained many specialty roasters around the nation, including Baldwin, Bowker, and Siegel. And Starbucks originally was just a coffee bean sort of reseller. So they imported the beans from Pete's, which was down in the Bay Area. Would you care to hazard a guess at the first rent that Starbucks paid for their space?
Their first space.
rent.
Were they selling coffee, or was just kind of a middleman?
They were
for
just
these
middlemen.
beans?
They
were
would
this
brew a
bean
cup of.
middleman.
They were bean middlemen who would brew you a cup of coffee if you're like, what does it taste like? And they'd brew it for you. And that was it. It was like a free sample.
Well, I would guess they're in some kind of mid-sized warehouse. This was the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know, $100 a month.
$137.50 was the rent paid by the soon-to-be global behemoth. And eventually the demand grows so high for their beans that they have to roast their own. So they're taught by Alfred Peet how to do this, and they're fairly successful. Their name, do you know where their name comes from?
Good golly, please tell me. I have no clue.
Wow. That is strange, considering that it was one of the mentions in the Flynn Brother book club. Really struggled to get to that one. It was in Moby Dick, as you perhaps recall. Starbuck.
God.
The
He's
first
a character,
name.
right?
Yes.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, so they were working
Wow.
with a marketing firm. That's the guy who was at the head of the marketing firm was like, companies with the first two letters of S and T have a really strong name to them.
Did he have any other examples that
I
would go
can't-
by this? Let me just spend 20 seconds thinking of one. No clue. Can't even think of one. He must have just been talking out of his ass.
Yeah, but it was right. Starbucks. I think.
Stofers.
There you go.
Stovers. Stovetop.
There you go. You're on
These are
fire.
some good ones.
You're on
Look
fire.
At me, buddy.
Yeah. But Starbucks, like McDonald's, it just has that great ring to it. It's just perfect, doesn't it?
It is.
So there's sort of some ups and downs, the coffee, there's some blights that strike coffee plants, but eventually they expand to about 6 stores and they're just selling their high quality beans. In 1982, this is where things really change when they hire Howard Schultz, who is a marketer and a suit-wearing New Yorker.
This is the guy we think of when we think of Starbucks, right?
Yes.
The initial 3 names you mentioned I had never heard, but Howard Schultz, whenever you think Starbucks, he's kind of a prominent figure nowadays in terms of, is it like trying to bring a sports team to Seattle, and he's just very, very wealthy? I suppose we'll get there in your brief
We will get
history.
into
All
that.
right,
We will
sorry,
get into
sorry.
that. You were sniffing around a correct backstory for Howard Schultz. But so Howard Schultz, he's just goes there. He's working for another company. Pops by their warehouse. He smells the beans. He tastes the coffee. He's like, "This is great. I really want to get involved with this." And he brings a new energy to the team. He's got this verve, this sort of New York determination and gusto that these laid back Seattle guys didn't really possess.
He's got zhuzh.
He's got a lot of zhuzh. He's got pop. He's got zip. Starbucks sends him to Italy for a trade show, and he tries a latte for the first time.
Wow.
And it blows his mind.
Foamed milk.
Foamed milk and espresso. Yeah, he goes nuts. He's just like, this... He says he has a gut feeling that this is what we should be doing in America. Like, this is the future of coffee. And he's also attracted to the Italian sort of theater of espresso, the machines hissing, it coming out. There's all of this drama. There's people sitting in the cafes. He's really seduced by this, as anybody who really travels to Italy and has a quick espresso. And he also, again, the third place idea is very prominent in Italian life.
Absolutely.
And so he's like, I would like to do this for America. So he comes back and he's super pumped. But the founders, Bowker, Baldwin and Siegel, they are not
a law firm. These were people who began roasting.
These
beans.
These are bean men. This is who they are. They are bean men. They are resistant to Schultz's idea that we need to start selling these espresso-based drinks. And they base this on Alfred Pete. He has a coffee shop down in the Bay Area. Selling coffee out of the coffee shop only accounts for about 10% of his sales. They're like, beans, that's where the money's at. Beans is where the money's at.
People buying the beans to make the coffee at home. I see. Okay.
Yes. So in 1984, the three of them, there's the 3 of them plus Schultz are sort of in disagreement, but they have an opportunity to buy Pete's, which had entered bankruptcy, which maybe makes you think, hey, maybe this guy Pete didn't know so much about business.
Right.
Anyway, so after that, they open a Starbucks with an espresso bar. It's highly successful, but by this time, Baldwin, Bowker, and Siegel, they're complacent. They're sort of happy with their profitable business, and they're getting into other stuff. Bowker founds Red Hook Brewing, which is a very famous craft brewery and very influential. And Schultz decides, you know what? I'm going off on my own. He gets a blessing from the Starbucks guys. They give him a little investment, and Schultz starts Il Giornale, which I think is supposed to sound like original. Il Giornale, coffee company.
Great example of a guy with an MBA having a creative idea, isn't it? Although the business was brilliant. I'm just purely don't mean to be too demeaning, just purely in terms of the creative name of it.
Oh,
right?
it's impossible. Starbucks versus Il Giornale. There's no way it would have caught on.
Right.
So it's very successful, and it's sort of attempting to replicate the Italian experience. And soon enough, Bowker, Siegel, and then Baldwin start selling their shares. Baldwin decides, I'd rather focus on Pete's. That's the gold standard of beans. That's where I want to put my effort. So they sell Starbucks for $3.8 million in 1987.
Wow. To Howard Schultz.
And his investment group. It grows exponentially. From 90 to 92, Schultz opens over 100 more stores, so about 30 a year. He takes the company public at $17 per share. Today, it's priced at $91 per share and has a market cap of $104 billion. Yeah.
That is staggering. Wait, so when he opens those first 100 stores, I imagine he's doing them as Starbucks, not
Yes.
Il Giornale.
No.
Okay.
Il Giornale rebrands as Starbucks. He
Okay,
takes the
gotcha,
name.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, obviously much better. So Schultz runs the company until 2000. He steps away. There's sort of a dip around 2008. And so he comes back. And the first thing that he does is he shuts down all Starbucks for a day and teaches the baristas how to properly make an espresso. He felt they had sort of lost their way. I kind of remember this. Do you remember Starbucks shutting down for today? I kind of remember it.
I feel like this has happened more than once. I feel like they have had these, and you almost see press releases or stories about it where they temporarily will close to I know they've had it in recent years for there was a sensitivity training incident or something like that. I can't quite remember the details, but I do vaguely remember these instances where they've had to close and kind of hit the reset button on certain things. But that's, very, very interesting.
Yeah, and then he steps away again sort of in the mid-2000s and comes back again from 2022 to 2023, and it's basically just to quash the burgeoning union movement that has taken place in Starbucks stores. And then he resigns again before having to go before the Senate and be grilled about his sort of union-busting tactics. So Starbucks had been firing people who were organizing in unions under flimsy pretexts. You show up a minute late, you're fired for being late, stuff like that. And then they also are giving wage increases and benefits, but only to the non-unionized stores. And there's only 650 unionized out of about 10,000 Starbucks stores, so it's a fairly small percentage, but still somewhat notable. But really, this has changed. Now we are in full-fledged, ruthless corporation mode for Starbucks, and that's where we find ourselves now. So I promised you a little bit about Howard Schultz, and in contrast to some of the ways that we've typically run these episodes, we're going to put our quiz right smack in the middle. So you endured a briefer, not that brief history, and so now you're on the hot seat, buddy.
We're doing the game now.
I'm
not
doing
at
the game
end.
now.
I'm
giving you a pop quiz.
The audience is used to the game at the end. They've grown very comfortable with that. Many people are saying the game at the end is the way we should do it. But you're saying
I'm
game
saying
right
game
now.
I'm saying game
All right,
now,
buddy.
buddy. Are you ready? It's a pop quiz.
You know me. I'm always ready.
All
Game
right.
on. Let's do it.
Here we are.
How many questions?
About 5. What are the other things that Howard Schultz is known for? So you were sniffing around the correct answer.
There's no multiple choice. It's pure short answer here.
Pure short answer.
I think did he own the Seattle Supersonics?
He did.
Okay, and he's trying to bring an NBA team back to Seattle because he sold the Seattle team to Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah, so this was a very infamous moment.
Okay.
Clay Bennett, who bought the Sonics from Howard Schultz, and Schultz promised everybody that the team was staying in Seattle, but in the dead of night, Clay Bennett stole them away and moved them to Oklahoma City.
Like they were a suitcase you could just steal from someone's foyer. Huh?
Yeah, just like that.
Did I get that one?
I'll give it to you.
I think so.
All right. Can you think of something else that Howard Schultz did? This would have been more, I believe, in about 2020.
Something else Howard Schultz did in 2020. These pop culture questions are just quite vague.
All right, fine. Here, I'll give you a few answers. I'll give you a few props here. Was he on The Masked Singer? Did he reboot?
Was it that one?
America's?
Was he on The Masked Singer?
No, it was not. I was trying to come up with. Was he on America Home Makeover Edition, or did he run for president?
Oh, did he run for president?
He ran for president as a Democrat.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, never really got off the ground. Basically, all that happened was he just really seemed to like being up on stage, and as I recall, Bernie Sanders would just sort of rip him to shreds, but Schultz just sort of loved them. He was like, "Hey, Bernie, how's it going, buddy?" And
if he liked being on stage so much, he should have done The Masked Singer.
yeah, that's right. That might have actually gone well.
All right, 1 for 2.
1 for 2. And then the last thing this I didn't expect you to know. He owns a $300 million yacht. It costs $30 million a year to run it. It can travel 4,500 nautical miles. It has 7 cabins, a pool, jacuzzi, spa, and elevator.
Oh, good for him.
So
Good
all those pumpkin spice lattes.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, can you name the smallest size of Starbucks cup?
Oh, does the pup cup count? That's technically the smallest, isn't it?
I guess that is true. I think the pup cup is served in the cup this size.
Okay, so I've gotten it.
I'll give it to you.
defeated even you who came up with it. So I know their sizes are tall, grande, venti. I think there is one smaller than tall, though. Is that correct?
There is. Think about it. It goes with tall.
I don't. Alto.
I like that.
What is
it is the small. The small
Oh,
is
jeez Louise. Are you kidding
is
me?
8 ounces. Yes,
Oh
there's
my
the small and the
God.
tall.
There's the small, the tall, the grande, the venti, the pup.
Or I'm
cup.
sorry, it's not the small. It's not the small. It's the. Is it the short? Now I've lost it. I
Oh,
wrote it down.
Jesus.
Will Slade, I'm gonna task you with it. But that is not the smallest. The pup cup is served in what is called the demi. That is the size.
demi,
The
the
demi is
demi.
3 ounces. I guess that would be what you would get an espresso in.
The demi. What?
Demi is
Demi,
the
all right,
smallest.
the
There
demi's
you
the
go.
smallest.
And
What'd you
then
think it
is
was
it the
called? The
short? Well, the
small?
short
Or
is
the
8
short?
ounces. The tall is 12 ounces. Grande 16, venti 20, and then there is the Trenta for 30 ounces. Demi is 3. There we go.
ounces.
It is
Wow.
confirmed. All right.
Well, very well organized, this quiz. I got to tip my cap. Not.
Moving on. What is the Starbucks logo of?
Oh.
What is that thing?
Oh, God. Good question. It's kind of a lady. I always thought she was kind of like, do you know, buddy? Will, do you know? Yeah, I'm going to phone a friend. Will's going to answer for me. Mermaid?
Incorrect.
All right, well, let me guess then.
It's very close.
I've
You are
always-
extremely close with mermaid.
I was thinking, is it Medusa?
It is not Medusa, though it is a mythical female figure that brings ruin to men.
Oh, a siren.
It is a siren. It looks very much like a mermaid. It has twin tails, whereas mermaids famously only have the one tail.
Wow.
Standing in for their legs.
She's got kind of some Statue of Liberty vibes with the green too.
Certainly,
doesn't she? Yeah.
certainly. Obviously, the original logo was much less refined than the current one. Actually, there were her bare breasts were exposed, and
I'll have to
occasionally
give
you'll
that
see
a
it.
Google sometime.
Yeah, you'll see it sometimes at these like sort of vintagey Starbucks. They might have that. Okay, last question. What does a black apron mean on a barista?
Are they the like manager, the store manager, if they're in a black apron?
Not quite.
Okay. Then perhaps you could tell me the answer.
They are the coffee master. They have achieved the rank of coffee master. It basically means you go to these Starbucks academies, you take a few courses. You basically have to lead a coffee tasting for a panel and correctly identify all the notes and stuff like that. And you must be a skilled latte artist.
It's like being a black belt, kind of, isn't
Yes.
it? You're like a coffee black belt. Well, the next time I'm in one, I'll be sure if I see a black apron to be like, I know what the black apron means.
It's
And let me just say, very cool.
You see someone in a green apron start making the order, and then let one black apron.
I'm
please.
gonna wait for the black apron.
I'd like the master to be handling
All right,
my brew.
I think I maybe got a 1.5 out of 5. It was a little sloppy in the execution, both in the answers and questions.
Sure. Well, we'll try to tighten things up right after the break. All right. Well, I did the quiz here because there's some weighty things to discuss with Starbucks, and I want to start out by sort of identifying what I think are their 3 chief innovations in the coffee space. Look at me.
Okay.
I'm sounding like I'm at a TED Talk here.
Yeah.
So first, we sort of touched on this, bringing espresso drinks to the American public. This was something that Americans regarded as, totally foreign, something that was effeminate, and like only a professor would drink espresso. And so
before that, it was just black coffee, cup of mud.
yeah, it's the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Right.
And, the Folgers was freeze-dried or vacuum-sealed pre-ground coffee that was devoid of any sort of complexity or flavor. And so it kind of gave Americans a higher level of sophistication around coffee without it feeling like we're doing something too European.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I think actually what's interesting is as I was kind of diving into the research, I thought that Starbucks is coming into a neighborhood would put mom and pop coffee shops out of business. It actually doesn't seem to be the case. There isn't a sort of causation or correlation there. In fact,
Starbucks pay you to say that? Is that true?
No, the what's happening, you would think it, but
Right.
Starbucks increases people's interest in coffee.
Huh.
And sort of Starbucks is a welcoming, here, try it out. And once you've had Starbucks, then you'd be like, well, maybe I should try these sort of quirkier, more independent coffee shops. And it's pretty easy to differentiate yourself from Starbucks, which is obviously corporate and replicable and the same everywhere you go, whereas these sort of quirkier coffee shops have something more unique to offer. And I think they maybe live up more to the third place ideal that Howard Schultz sought.
Yeah, so I imagine we'll talk more about how people sort of spend their time in Starbucks in a modern context and how that's changed over time. But yes, I would say when people want to hang out at a coffee shop, they tend to go to the mom and pop versus Starbucks.
That's right. Second, I would say their next innovation is the Frappuccino.
Yes, the milkshake.
The milkshake. And I think it's almost like a gateway to coffee, where
Yes,
it's for
yeah.
kids and for
Oh,
people who
yeah.
don't like coffee.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, for sure. It's one of the stepping stones that gets you into coffee, a gateway drug.
Yes. I am not a fan of the Frappuccino. You like it every now and again.
Great.
What is so great about the Frappuccino?
Oh, well, it's tooth-achingly, throat-burningly sweet, which once in a while you want. Honestly, I'm someone who, I get a whipped cream drink, a lot of people just kind of have the straw in their drink and sip it, and the cream kind of leaches into the drink, and I have the cream throughout it. Absolutely not. You get the lid off. You get your whole mouth around that sucker, and you slurp up the ball of whipped cream like it's, it's like it's a shot.
You're taking it first?
Yeah, absolutely. That is why you get the Frappuccinos, so they'll give you a big glob of whipped cream. Then there's a little leftover. You mix the cream into the Frappuccino, and you know me, I've never had a brain freeze my whole life. So I stick the straw in, and I'm just basically sucking that sucker down as fast as I can. I can probably put down half of that in, a minute flat, right?
Wow.
And it really is great the first half. Any type of icy, slushy drink, the first half is great. Then kind of by the time you get to the bottom, you've sucked all the like syrup and like the nutrients.
Like a snow cone.
Right. And then it's just ice at the bottom. And then you can kind of let it melt and enjoy the rest of it. But I don't know, man. They're great. When I get it, I tend to get the just coffee flavored one. I don't really mess with the like chocolate ones, the caramel ones. Those are like way too sweet for even.
Well, they're just pure syrup being added to it.
The coffee one, which is the most like neutrally sweet one, is already, as I said, throat-burningly, tooth-achingly sweet. Maybe I said it opposite the first time. You get the point. It's sweet as all hell. But yeah, no, man, I do like, I've probably had a Frappuccino like once a year since I was like 10 years old, and I think that's probably going to continue until Doc says no. But yeah, man, once a year when it's really, really hot and you're on vacation or you're just kind of walking around, it's the best, dude. It's the best. It's delicious.
There you go. it may surprise you to know Starbucks did not invent the Frappuccino.
Gasp.
They purchased Coffee Connection in Boston, and they're the people who invented it. And basically what they did, and you've hinted at this, they combined coffee and a soft serve machine.
Oh,
and that
my
is
God.
the
Wait a minute.
genius invention.
Wait
yeah,
a minute. That's a soft serve is better than a
Yeah.
Frappuccino, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yep. So,
Wow.
the Starbucks, they did the sort of McDonald's, you pour the powder into the glass of water and you get a milkshake. They maybe did that with the Frappuccino. So starting in 1995, they sell them. And I think these Frappuccinos, they have spiritual cousins in the warm drinks and these overly sweet, creamy offerings.
Pumpkin
what am I
spice
thinking?
latte, my chai latte, gingerbread, all bullshit, all this stuff.
Yeah, there's also the peppermint mocha,
Oh,
perhaps you're
God,
familiar
yeah,
with,
of
and of course the eggnog latte.
Of course, the eggnog latte. How could we forget?
The chai latte to me, I think, is one of the great things that they
it's-
make there.
It's also, compared to the other ones, like I said, with the coffee frappuccino, the most neutrally sweet. It's still incredibly sweet, but it's like at least tolerable. The other ones, like you got to be basically under the age of 10 to be able to put those down.
Yeah, for sure. But makes you feel a little bit more adult and gives you that first addictive hit of caffeine, which Starbucks is.
If I had a peppermint mocha, my heart would be like beating like a jackrabbit. I mean, it would just be going crazy, wouldn't it?
Indeed. The third innovation that I think they have, and I'm kind of combining two here, is the gift card / rewards program.
Yeah.
So Starbucks really rewards you for purchasing drinks with them. They give you points. These points unlock rewards, free drinks, swag, all sorts of stuff.
Are you, and you're positive Starbucks did not pay you to say this information?
Well, I'm going to
You're
get into it
positive.
here.
Okay, all right.
I will say the one thing, we have been the recipients of many a gift card in our day. I would say Starbucks, if it's a gift card under, $25 or less, Starbucks is what you should buy the gift card.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. You don't want to do like if it's less than $25, you don't really want to do a food spot 'cause you can't really get much of a meal. But Starbucks, even if you get a $10 Starbucks card, you could probably go to Starbucks 3 times, right? And maybe have to shell out a little bit, but it's good for the cheap gift card.
Absolutely. I think of it as like the default gift card. It's so useful. The 3 times when I think you really want to use a gift card, it really comes in when you're traveling, when you're in an emergency, like I need to get something to eat now, or you want a little treat.
Want a little treat.
And the Starbucks gift card is perfect for those 3 things. But the more interesting thing about it is the gift cards and the rewards program where you load these cards onto the app. So Starbucks holds roughly $1.8 to $2 billion in customer gift card balances in digital app funds, which makes it act like an interest-free loan. So this 1.8 to 2 billion would be bigger than 85% of US banks. And they can spend the money that is yet to be redeemed. So this is how it works. This is a little bit more complicated than I am able to. So I'm going to be quoting right now from a business article. So the Starbucks app operates on a model similar to that of a bank. Banks allow people and businesses to store money, which the bank then pays them interest on. Banks pay you for storing money with them because it allows them to use the money placed in accounts for other purposes. So you put your money with the bank uses the money for other things, investments, stuff like that.
I'm caught up so far.
Cool. Starbucks doesn't pay interest on the money stored on its app, but the company can still use the money before you redeem it, if you ever bother to redeem it at all. Unused funds make up about 10% of all the money in the, quote, bank of Starbucks. This 10% is still considered revenue for the company. The amount of money flowing through Starbucks app at any given time is more than some banks.
Staggering. It's incredible because Once you buy the gift card, they got the money.
Yeah.
They already won. If you sell a gift card, it would be the greatest business in the world if you just sold gift cards, right? Because so often do they go unused or left alone.
Yeah.
And you're so right. They got your money. They don't have to pay you any interest to keep it. It is staggering. I never would have imagined it could be as high as $2 billion, but it totally makes sense. Think of the millions of people worldwide who go to Starbucks. Think of the proliferation of gift cards that are purchased for people who go to Starbucks. That is that is one of the most revelatory, fascinating facts I have ever heard on this podcast. We've done 50 some odd episodes. That is really stunning, buddy. Really stunning.
I told you I'd tighten it up after the break.
That was good.
Okay, and according to CNN, 70% of Starbucks orders are off the mobile app or drive-through.
Dude.
Which is
nuts.
interesting to me because those orders are an elimination of the third place that Schultz envisioned.
Yeah.
There's no third place. I mean, you and I went into one that was literally a espresso making area, coffee making area, shelves, and that was it. There was nowhere to sit. You didn't talk to the barista. You couldn't order.
No,
you couldn't order. You had to
no
order
cashier
through
stand.
the app.
Yep, yeah, it was purely pickup.
So no seats, nowhere to hang out, purely in and out, joyless, soulless, and so far from the origins that Starbucks was supposed to be. Remember, this is 3 dudes in Seattle with a bunch of bags of beans, and I'm sure they're scooping it out, weighing it on a scale, and giving it to you. A bunch of chill guys in flannels, and now it's basically a robot handing you a coffee through a window.
It's a long life, things change, adapt or die. If Starbucks stuck with its original model, it would not have had the success it's had. It is the 70% being drive-through or mobile online is crazy. What's even more crazy, though, is most Starbucks you go to are pretty busy. Yeah. They're pretty full. They're at least kind of half full. It's pretty rare you go to a Starbucks and it's empty. So that it just goes to show the staggering amount of profits they are making every single year. Not to mention just all that free gift card money they're sitting on like a dragon, guarding a pile of gold,
Well, you said adapt or die, and that brings us to the cutesy Starbucks rebrand. Yeah. So they have now called themselves the Starbucks Coffee Company. This was never Starbucks' name.
Never.
Starbucks was Starbucks. Forever. And they've been writing little comments on the cup. They used to write, your name on the cup, but now they're writing stuff like yummy or or tasty, and there's a little emoji with its tongue out. And I think the thing that sums up the rebrand best is I saw a commercial recently where it was shot on film, and it's a lot of like sun exposed shots of kids sitting on laps and people laughing of all different genders and races and ages and orientations, and everyone's having a good time in Starbucks, and it's this third place as it's always been imagined, and you're somewhat fooled by it for a second, but then you listen to the song. Do you know the song? Have you seen this ad that I'm talking about?
The one with the Beatles song? Is it She's a Rainbow?
No, that's a different one. It's All Together Now.
Oh,
but you're right.
God.
You're right in saying that it's the Beatles. It's the original cut of the Beatles All Together Now. That must have cost so much money.
Millions.
And it's like you can't be simultaneously the scrappy, fun little place for everybody to hang out and also able to afford an original Beatles cut for your ad.
We went to a Starbucks Reserve. We had gift cards. We went, a few weeks ago, and we walk in there, and we're in Los Angeles, and Starbucks in Los Angeles, there's plenty of aspiring writers and grad students and people who use Starbucks as their third place, right? Or more like their second place. It's kind of their office, right? And we go in there, and it's completely full. And I kid you not, we look around and every single person is wearing headphones. Literally every single person is wearing headphones and using a device, whether it's listening to a phone, working on a laptop, whatever it is. And the baristas, there's like 3 baristas just kind of soullessly making coffee. And we walk in and we're waiting. We're getting a chai latte. Sometimes we'll split one, but we felt like being indulgent. We got one each. And we're sitting there waiting for our coffee. Everyone, of course, is streaking in and out with mobile orders. Very few people ordering in. And we're looking around. And we're talking about this thing that you've mentioned, this third place, and like people used to go to coffee shops and debate philosophy and share the news of the day and talk about the game last night and all this different stuff. And we were in there, and it was like a library.
Yeah.
It was just dead quiet. You could hear a pin drop. And we were like purposely kind of talking loud and laughing and, being the Flynn brothers. And it just really was staggering, like, what the state of Starbucks is. And then you put on top of this, like you say, this almost beyond parody rebrand where it's like you are the face of the most you epitomize soulless American greed and corporations. There's green in your logo, right? Like it just this cutesy rebrand. You think you can call yourself the Starbucks Coffee Company and write little messages on our cup and we'll forget about the union busting and just kind of the bullshit and the tech company mindset you bring to coffee. It is just the pandering and the assumption that the American public is rock dumb is just so insulting, isn't it?
Absolutely. The microphone is on fire after that rant that you just gave there. But I think you're right because what they're trying to do is they're trying to rebrand as like, we were talking about it earlier, Central Perk,
Right,
which
yes.
Starbucks was always the alternative to this place because Central Perk, it had nice couches, it had red walls with weird art on it. There was open mic nights, stuff like that. But Starbucks was like, their coffee's bad. Our coffee's good. And typically the Central Perk coffee was bad. It was like glorified Folgers. They didn't have the attention to detail that you would need for, a really top-level coffee. But I think what has happened is that Starbucks has actually kind of, by increasing the sophistication of the American palate towards coffee, they've inspired all of these other places that actually do what Starbucks tries to do almost better. It's like they serve better coffee now than Starbucks.
Right.
Nobody would say that Starbucks is the best coffee around.
No.
Whereas, in the past, that might have been the case. Or at least the best coffee that you can reliably get.
Or in some parts of the country, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, this is the best coffee you can get here. Hey, in some parts of the country, Pizza Hut used to be the Italian restaurant. You know what I mean? It used to be the best Italian food you could get. So it depends where you are.
Yeah. And so there's a place in Los Feliz that I think is a little bit pretentious, and the line is a little bit silly outside of it, and it's called Maru. But I have been in that line a few times, and you have to sit in that line for about 20 minutes. And in contrast to the Starbucks, pretty much everybody is talking. People are looking around, they're sightseeing, they're sitting down and enjoying the coffee, they're hanging out. There's not a lot of people working on stuff. Maybe someone has a journal, but if you have a laptop in there, you're kind of regarded as a weirdo because it's kind of too tight. And it's like, this is something that wouldn't have existed without Starbucks laying the foundation for it. But it's doing what Howard Schultz originally sort of set out to do at a higher level. And at the same time, I do think that Starbucks, by and large, is that third place for the reasons that we've talked about, not because it's a place where you go to hang out with people, but Starbucks, you could work there. You can hang out there if there's nowhere else to go. You can hang out in a Starbucks for 3 hours. No one's going to hassle you. If you need to use the restroom, you can use that. You got your Starbucks. You could spend 5 hours or 5 minutes there. And they're sort of trying to inject a bit of personality back into itself. But you're not that fun, hip coffee shop. You are purely utilitarian to me now, I think is what Starbucks' role in America is.
Yeah, I mean, you go into a modern Starbucks, particularly these Starbucks Reserves, and it's like walking into the Apple store. And it's like, the Apple store is cool, and the Starbucks Reserve is kind of cool, but it's not cozy. It's not somewhere you really want to hang out. And what I remember from like the 2000 Starbucks was it's all like hard, rigid furniture and just very utilitarian and just like, yeah, you can hang out here, but it's like,
But why would you?
Why would you?
Yeah.
There's going to be like homeless guys hanging out here and stuff. And it's like, it was just like, go there, go to work, bam, right? Now it's like drive through, mobile orders. It's just kind of the place I'm picking up my coffee. But yeah, it brings up an interesting question. And I think it's a similar question you could ask about alcohol. And it is, do you drink coffee, alcohol, whatever it is? Do you drink it for the taste or do you drink it for the experience? And I think it's interesting because it's like, I kind of just like the taste of coffee, right? And I don't necessarily need to go and be social when I have my coffee. I don't need to have a really fancy coffee. I'm pretty much just get it down my gullet, go about my day, right?
Yeah.
I like enjoying it on a porch or anything like that, but I'm not too social when it comes to coffee. There are a lot of people who like to be social when they have coffee. They like to go invite friends and go to a cafe and all that stuff. And it's kind of the same thing with alcohol, right? There's some people who just love the taste and love just throwing it back. And then there's other people who only ever drink when they're out with friends, right? And they're doing it socially. So I think we've come to this interesting nexus point where it's like, what is now our relationship to coffee? Is it purely like let the robots take our order and serve us and we grab it from the robots and go about our human day? Or should there be this push to embrace the cutesy rebrand, embrace the fact that some Starbucks now have soft chairs like they're trying to be Central Perk and give Starbucks a second chance to kind of be this retro sort of hangout coffee shop? I don't know. It's very curious.
I think they are going to stick with this for a while, and I don't think it needs to be fully successful.
No.
I don't think it needs to convince us that Starbucks is cool or that Starbucks is indie or something like that. But if you keep doing this for years and years and years, and they just stick with this, the kids who are going in there now for their peppermint mochas, that's the association that they're going to have with it. And eventually, maybe Starbucks will occupy sort of a different place in the mind of the younger generation. To me, I think it's always going to be a very utilitarian place to go. You get a drink. I think, too, Americans, we don't chill as much as Europeans.
Yep.
Europeans really know how to chill and just kill hours and have espressos and things of that nature. Americans like having a big cup of coffee that they take to go, I think, for the most part. I think that's how we consume our coffee. And I do think on the other side of it, too, and sort of the funny final ironic twist of Mr. Howard Schultz's sojourn to Italy where he tasted much better coffee, I think the interesting thing now is because of Starbucks bringing this sophistication to America, I'd say America makes as good of coffee as anywhere in the world. You can get coffee as good as anywhere in the world. And I think that might be the more true legacy of Starbucks, that it allowed America to experience this thing that is now central to its culture in a higher level way and inspired lots of people to roast beans for the first time, source it from all sorts of different parts of the world, do these single origin, have these very specialty coffee shops, and not only, provide the inspiration, but provide the consumer base of people who are willing to be into this sort of stuff.
Our country's knowledge and appreciation of coffee in the last 50 years has grown exponentially, and it's mostly due to Starbucks and Howard Schultz. I think you could pretty definitively say that. I do want to close with a couple reflections. The title of this podcast episode is Starbucks is America's Third Place. Do you believe Starbucks believes that they are America's third place?
I'd say it's in their company's mission statement. I think if they were being honest with themselves, they would be like, But at the same time, it's like these specialty coffee shops that we're talking about, like, they belong to communities. They belong to small regions. If we're talking about America as a whole, where could you have a third place that you could count on across this great nation of ours? I would say it is Starbucks.
The average person probably goes to Starbucks a lot more than, say, McDonald's, right? And looking forward as a final reflection, do you think with enough of this cutesy rebrand or whatever direction Starbucks goes in, can it firmly establish itself as a third place, or is this notion even of a third place fully gone? Is the future just going to be kind of, you go wherever you work and you come back home. That's what it is for most people now. We've lost sort of this sense of like community and hanging out. And then will it even just pare back even further and you're just basically at home all the time, right? Do you really think this giant corporation can carve out, you know, this section of the population, this huge portion of the population that's going to view it as kind of a place to hang out and spend a lot of time?
I don't know if they will think of it necessarily as that, but they will use it in that way. And I do sadly think one of the other things that sort of struck me thinking about this is really the third place of modern society is social media. That's the third place that we go to when we're not at work and we're not at home and we want to be somewhere else that's relaxing, and we have all of these parasocial relationships, and, you know, we're being entertained to death by the constant scroll. And I think that's really the true third place. So, you know, hey, Starbucks doesn't seem so bad in comparison to me.
In
you know?
comparison to the fake reality.
Let's go get a couple chai lattes.
Let's get a couple of chai lattes. But before we do, I must remind our listeners to please subscribe, comment, and leave a rating. Send questions, comments, or big idea suggestions to our business email, flynnbrospod@gmail.com. Thank you to our producer, Mermaid. Oh, no, sorry. Will Slade. Will Slade's his name. And we'll see you next time on the Flynn Brothers podcast. Take care, buddy.
No, buddy, you take care.